Hello, friends. Mr. Unger here again to share with you the Easter story. I hope you have a happy Easter today and are all excited about Easter, even though it's a little different than we normally do. But I want to tell you this Bible story about Easter. And we will be reading out of the Gospel of Matthew. Now, Matthew tells us a whole lot about what happened during the time leading up to Easter. Jesus knew that he was fixing to be crucified. He was ready for this. This is why he came. He came so he could save us, but he would have to die to save us from our sins, from the things we've done wrong. So he meets with his disciples and he has something we call the Last Supper. At the Last Supper, he takes some bread that looks a whole lot like our crackers, only bigger, and he breaks it and he says, "Take and eat this. This is my body." Then he passes around the cup of wine and he says, "Drink this. This is the blood, my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins." He was trying to talk to them about what he was about to do and how he was going to save us from our sins. And then they sang a hymn, and then they went out to a place called the Mount of Olives. It was where they grew olive trees. And he went out there to a garden that was called Gethsemane. That's a big name, Gethsemane. Went out to the Garden of Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, "You stay here and pray, and I'm going to go over there and pray." And he went and he prayed, and he knew, even though he knew why he came, and he loved us so much, he wanted to save us, he knew it was going to hurt. Have you ever known something was going to hurt and you didn't want to do it? Well, Jesus knew this was going to hurt, and he was afraid that it was going to hurt, and he said, "Father, if you can, if there's any other way we can do this, let me not do this. But whatever you want me to do, that's what I'll do." He was very obedient, just like we need to be obedient. He was very obedient. And he prayed 3 times, "Father, please let this happen some other way." And there was no other way to happen. This was the only way Jesus could save us. So while he's there praying and he's talking to his disciples, Judas comes up. Judas is a traitor, someone who acts like a friend but is really an enemy. Comes up, betrays him to Jesus' enemies, and they take him off to a meeting of a group called the Sanhedrin. Now, some of the members of the Sanhedrin did not like Jesus and they wanted to kill him. So they held a trial and they said, "You need to die." So they sent him over to a man named Pilate. Pilate was the Roman governor at the time. And Pilate took him and he gave him to be crucified, killed, and he died on the cross and he was buried. His friends Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus, Joseph and Nicodemus took his body and they put it in a grave and buried him in a tomb. And all of his friends were so, so, so sad. They were crying and they were sad. But God did not leave him there. Jesus did not stay there. On Sunday morning, Easter Sunday morning, the very first, Jesus rose from the dead. And early in the morning, some of the women who were his friends, Mary of Magdalene, another Mary, Johanna, and a lot of the other women who had been his friends and helping take care of him, they came to the grave to visit the grave where he was buried. And he wasn't there. Instead, there was an angel inside. And they told him, "Jesus is alive." Remember, he told you this was going to happen. He knew this was going to happen. This is how he paid for the things that you and I have done wrong. Jesus is alive. And so the women went and they told his friends Peter and John, and they ran to the tomb. They looked in the tomb, and sure enough, there were the clothes that Joseph and Nicodemus had wrapped around him. They were there, but Jesus wasn't. He was alive, and he lives forever and forever. Now remember, that's our memory verse this week. I am alive forever and forever. Revelation 1:18. Can you say that with me? I am alive forever and forever. Revelation 1:18. And that's why we have a happy, happy Easter, because Jesus is alive. I hope you remember that today. I love you, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.